Let's return now to our top story today. In the Liberal frontbencher, Julian Leeser has quit the Liberal frontbench. One of his colleagues is the Shadow Treasurer Angus Taylor. He joins me live from Perth. Angus Taylor, thanks for your time. Let's start with your reaction to this move by Julian Leeser to move to the backbench.
Oh, well, it's disappointing, obviously, Kieran. He's a very capable guy and he will be missed on the Shadow frontbench. But it's his decision, and of course this is a big difference between the Liberal Party and the Labor Party, that we accept differences as a point of view on the backbench, and so Julian has made the decision to go to the backbench, and as I say, he'll be missed. He's passionate about this issue, but more broadly passionate about a better lot for Indigenous Australians, First Nations people, and as am I, as is the whole party, and we heard that loud and clear from the party room discussions last week. But the party room took a view, the overwhelming majority, and so Julian has made the decision he has. I should say, by the way, Kieran, that he and his family have had to suffer, extraordinary personal attacks over recent weeks and months, and I hope this is not a precursor for what we're going to see more generally during this important debate, and one that I hope is going to be respectful.
Could Peter Dutton have avoided this drama if he afforded the conscience vote that backbenchers get, as you alluded to there, to the frontbench as well, as we saw in the Republic referendum, where Liberals could vote and argue the case as they saw fit?
Well, the party room made an overwhelming decision on this, Kieran, that we should take a party position, and we have. And it's because I think we very strongly share the view that we want to see a better lot for Indigenous Australians. And we see communities where there have been great successes, but we see Indigenous communities around Australia where there are huge gaps that have to be closed. And really the debate is not about how passionately we feel about fixing those problems, it's about how to do it. And the view of the overwhelming view of the party room is that the Voice, as Labor has put it together, a very significant constitutional change is not the way forward. We firmly believe as a party in equality of citizenship for all Australians. We want Indigenous Australians to be recognised in our constitution, but that's not the same as moving away from that foundational principle in our founding document of equality of citizenship. And in fact, if you look around the world, comparable countries have not moved away from that fundamental principle. This is a group right, and even in countries where there's strong individual bills of rights, they haven't moved towards group rights. We just think this is the wrong way to go. We do think there is a better way, and we've articulated that in recent days, and I firmly believe that getting strong local leadership on the ground is the key to addressing these issues, and we'll continue to prosecute that case.
You have been critical of the government for its position on the low and middle income tax offset. I just want to play you a little of what Jim Chalmers said earlier in the day and get your reaction to it. Have a look.
Angus Taylor was in the cabinet that decided that this payment would end last year. It is characteristically dishonest of him to pretend otherwise. This is another humiliating gaffe from Angus Taylor to pretend that the story that was written on Saturday doesn't reflect a decision taken by the government in which he sat around the cabinet table when Josh Frydenberg indicated that last year's payment would be the last one.
So Mr Chalmers says it was the former coalition government that made the call to end the LMITO, as it's called, or low and middle income tax offset. Isn't that a fair critique?
Well, it's characteristic of Jim Chalmers to not take responsibility, Kieran. I mean, Jim Chalmers is watching Australians suffering like we haven't seen for a long time, from rising inflation, rising interest rates, rising taxation levels. I mean, we saw that in the latest numbers coming out from the ABS, or recent numbers coming out from the ABS, increasing hikes in the tax that Australians are paying because of bracket creep, and now the low to middle income tax offset. They're not going to extend that. They can do it. Look, this is a government that promised it would take responsibility. They promised everything before the election: cheaper mortgages, lower power prices, taking responsibility for the challenges that Australians are facing, and they deliver nothing. They deliver nothing. It's a Treasurer who'd rather be over in Washington talk about his dismal forecasts for the world rather than solving the problems that Australians are facing right now, which is these extraordinary pressures of inflation, interest rates, and now taxation, superannuation taxes, franking credits, income tax. Who knows where he's going to go next? But the one thing we do know is that Labor loves to try to solve every problem by taxing Australians more.
Given it was a decision by Josh Frydenberg, though, to cease it at this point, wouldn't the RBA be also supportive of Jim Chalmers in following through with that, given they're trying to cool the economy and they would support a policy like this that essentially helps take government money out of the system?
There are many options open to the government right now to take pressure off Australians, and yet sadly they're failing to pursue those options. And this is a characteristic of this government: promising responsibility, taking none; promising a better pathway forward, delivering none of it. And that's the nature of Jim Chalmers. All we get from him, frankly, Kieran, is these dismal forecasts. He loves to commentate on the economy. He hates to take responsibility. But I tell you what, every Australian out there is taking responsibility. They've seen, if you've got a $750,000 mortgage, over $20,000 increase in their mortgage payments, thousands of dollars of extra payments for their groceries and everything else they're buying, as well as now hiking taxes. And, you know, we're going to see extra tax hikes coming forward in the coming months and years because of rising inflation, pushing Australians' incomes up into higher tax brackets. All of this is happening, and Jim Chalmers is happy to tax Australians more on their super, through franking credits, through income tax. And who knows where else they're going? Is it work expenses coming next? Are they going to go after that? They refuse to answer questions on whether or not they're going after that. But what we do know is this is a Treasurer who loves the tax.
Angus Taylor, appreciate your time. Talk to you soon.